Alright, we'll start with the identification tag on the side. Here you'll find the manufacturer, date it was manufactured, your VIN number, your gross weight, tire sizes and pressures, 2 tire charts on the bottom, and then the yellow you have your VIN number and your cargo capacity. Up front, your battery. These aren't maintenance-free batteries. You may have to add water to them at some point. If you're not going to be using your unit for a while, I would disconnect it, and there is a disconnect right there. And for winter, I'd store it somewhere warm. Your spare tire is underneath. To get it out, you have to go underneath, and there are 3/4 inch nuts. Deep socket. Make sure that you have something to get that off with. 2 20-pound propane tanks. There's a selector in the middle right here. The little arrow points to which tank's going to be supplying the propane, and you'll see it's red. When you turn the gas valve open, it goes to green. Kind of shows you there's pressure there. Your front jack kind of controls all your landing or your stabilizer jacks and everything. You have your up and down here, tongue jack, right, front, right, rear. So you can kind of select which ones you want to operate. Your breakaway here. One thing to note with them, if the key gets pulled out and your battery's hooked up, it does activate your brakes. And if it's left like that for an extended period of time, it's going to drain your battery and can do damage to your brakes. So kind of make sure that key stays in. Front cubby hole, you have your short cord and your crank. And your crank can be used for your stabilizer jacks too, right there. So you can manually operate them or with the electric. And also that crank you can use, I'll show you on the slides, you can manually crank your slides in on this unit. One thing to note also with your stabilizer jacks, they're not meant for lifting the camper, they're just meant for supporting it, so don't get too aggressive when you're using them. You have your sewer valves. They are labeled here. The gray will be for your gray tank and the black will be your black. Sewer dump there. This is for your black tank flush. If you are going to be using this, just make sure that you have your black tank valve open. If not, it'll just fill your tank and make a mess. So here's one, there's a hole here, and if you look underneath, so that will, if you put your crank on there and you crank it, that'll bring the slide in or out on the opposite side. So if you ever run in, you don't have electricity, you can't get your slides in, you can manually crank them in and out. And there's also one for the little slide at the back, I'll show you. Intake and exhaust for your furnace. Just don't store anything in front of that, it gets really hot. This is the vent for your behind your fridge. All the controls are on inside. There's nothing in behind there. So there's no really reason to go in there. That's the vent for your stove vent for your range. On your wheels, these center caps pop off. There is grease nipples in behind. Not a bad idea to give them a couple shots of grease, you know, every so once in a while. But if you are putting lots of miles, I do recommend getting them repacked. You have another sewer dump back here, and again you have your gray and black valves. And underneath your slides you'll see that there's 2 arms and then a cylinder looking deal. Just kind of make sure those stay clean. As long as they stay clean, everything will work good for you. then at the back here, you have a shower with hot and cold. Your water fill, a second black, because you have 2 black tanks on here, so another flush. City Water Connect, if you're at a campground that has the water right at your campground, you can just run your garden hose directly into that. 2 TV cable satellite hookups, so those are inputs. Your plug in for your short cord there, 30 amp. A drain outlet, so those are low point drains. You don't have to do anything with those. Right at the end of the year, when you do your winterization, you can pull those plugs out. It'll drain the last little bit of water out of your system. And then there's another drain right there, and that's your fresh water drain. And the plug for that is in your hot water heater. I'll show you that when I get there. In the bumpers, your sewer hose. The back is your hot water heater. These are gas and 110 electric heaters. All the controls are on the inside. You don't have to manual light it or anything. The only thing you really have to know is the plug goes into the drain here. Very important for winterization. Make sure that it's drained for winter. And then the second plug here is for your plug for your water tank. Up there by your clearance lights is a mount. It's for a backup camera. These are pre-wired for it. If something that you'd want to add later on, very easy to do. You got a rear ladder. I do recommend inspecting your roof once in a while, especially if there's been a storm. Kind of look for crack vents, and then just general cracking of sealant. Just inspect your rubber roof. Outside kitchen, nice size fridge, sink, and you have your outdoor stove. This stove here is made for the 1 pound propane bottles. So you can just, all the stuff is in the inside there. Here is the other hole for that slide on the other side, right there. You have outside speakers, power awning, your entry. Underneath, or behind the door, I should say, you have a cable hookup, TV hookup. So this is an output. If you want to put a TV outside, this is where you're going to hook it up to. And you have your power outlet right next to it. Solar panel plug. If you ever want to add a solar panel, that's where you plug it in. And then back to the front compartment, there is a table up top that's strapped up there. And you have a couple light switches. One for inside here, and the other one is your cap lights right there. So that is it for the outside. We'll head in.